Well, welcome back to Toyota Sports Talk. It's certainly a new era for the Washington Mystics. New head coach, new GM. A lot of excitement with this franchise. Joined now by the new general manager, Jamila Wideman. Jamila, first of all, welcome to Washington. How does it feel sitting in the GM chair? I see that smile.
Pretty fantastic. Really thrilled to be here. Thrilled for the opportunity. Can't wait to get to know DC and the DMV better. What I do know is there's an absolutely incredible and engaged fan base already here for the Mystics, and so I can't wait to step in and be a part of building what's next.
I mean, what a moment for you in kind of your career trajectory. I mean, your first time you're GM in the WNBA. I mean, this has got to be a huge moment for you.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it's probably too much of a simple an analogy, but it's full circle for me. Having been a player at the beginning of the league and been a part of those very first steps when there wasn't a league and all we were doing was imagining what that could look like, to be in this moment where there's not only a league, but there is a thriving leadership in women's professional sports. So the opportunity to step back in this moment and be a part of that was an offer I could not refuse.
And speaking of a full circle moment, this young lady right here was she gave the assist on the first ever basket in the WNBA. That's a pretty good full circle moment there, Jamila.
Listen, I'll have to give Penny Toller, who is the one who caught that and scored, a shout out here and make fun of her a little bit, because Penny Toller was famous for dribbling exactly 4 or 5 times, even if she was wide open before she shot it, which would have taken the assist off the books. So I was very grateful that she was a no dribble shot on that.
I love it. In the history books, and now you're in charge of kind of leading this franchise forward, what is your philosophy in terms of roster construction? Yeah,
so I think, I was about to say this year. There is no this year in terms of philosophy. I think one of the interesting things about the WNBA in this moment is that we've got on tap a new CBA, a year where nearly every single player in the league is going to be a free agent. And in that sense, we're looking at an unknown world in terms of what rosters are even allowed to look like going forward. So from a construction perspective, I think, if I look at our current team, we've got such an interesting mix of real veteran elite talent and a young core that also has a lot of space for development. So as I build, I would like to lean into the kind of environment we're trying to create, which is certainly one focused on growth and development. We want to be able to bring in players at different stages of their career and know that we can get something together with them, that they can grow in ways that are going to help us build our franchise and elevate our franchise as we go.
Give us some traits you're looking for when you bring a player on board. What is a Washington Mystics player in Jamila Wideman's eyes?
Yeah, look, we want to play fast. We want to play free. We want to elevate the creativity of our players. We want folks that can spread the floor. We want people who want to be here, right? So we want a passion for our team and this place. And I think we want players who see themselves as part of something that's bigger than just the game, which is not hard to do. It's a little bit in the DNA of WNBA players to see themselves as leaders in the community, leaders on the court. And so those aspects of players in their character, their passions outside of the court, those are things that we want to know about, pay attention to, and help to support as well.
And you bring up a good point, because 2026 is going to be an unknown world for WNBA and free agency. And I appreciated how you guys really struck a chord of talking about developing the culture, making this a place that players want to come here to play. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a place that players have wanted to play historically. I mean, we've got some of the greatest players ever in the league that have worn a Mystics uniform. Talking about back to Shemiko Holdsclaw, Elena Beard, Emma Miesemann, Elena Deladon, Ariel Atkins, all the way down the line, right? And so I think what we're looking to frame is an atmosphere for what's next. So on the one hand, we want to look at those championship roots and that history and stand on that strength. But on the other hand, we don't want to be bound by that. And so I think in terms of looking into our future, we want to leave room to have certainly the players be partners in defining what that's going to be.
You mentioned one of the greatest players to ever wear a Mystics uniform, and I think it's one of the biggest question marks from a fan's perspective, Elena Delle Donne. I know she was not cored. What does that mean? What is the future of Elena with this organization?
Yeah, Elena is just an absolutely elite player and absolutely a game changer. And, you know, I think her history with this organization is, you know, something we look at and point to. And, you know, like I said, as we move forward, we'll be looking to bring in elite talent. I think Elena is a great example of that.
So, in terms of where she stands, is she a free agent? Kind of explain, like, where she's at right now.
Yep, she's a free agent.
Okay.
And so, you know, obviously we're right in the midst of that process. And, you know, for me, it probably is a little premature to share anything in detail or sort of speculate since we're knee-deep in that. But really looking forward to continuing to build.
And in terms of Sydney Johnson and yourself, new head coach, first-time head coach in the WNBA, first-time GM in the WNBA. This is going to be a partnership. You guys are going to be teammates. Explain how important it is to build that foundation together of he trusting you, you trusting him.
Yeah, Coach Sid is wonderful. I think we're beautifully matched in the sense that the place that we begin all our conversations is to start with who are we talking about, player, staff member, media member or otherwise, and to start the conversation around just who they are as a person, and what we can do alongside them, how we can support them, simply for that fact, before we talk about performance. Now, we do get there, too. But I think having a coach that has such tremendous respect for the athletes that he's coaching, I think having a coach who has the kind of humility that he has, in addition to the experience and the expertise, those are qualities that really stand out in him. And the reason we can be teammates is because we are interested in a partnership. And there are all kinds of relationships that a GM and a coach can have. And I think there's just no doubt that for us, as he said today, we're teammates.
You know, you discussed that 90-10 rule that you guys kind of abide by during your press conference. And unfortunately, that 10%, you're judged on the wins and losses, the players, the staff. That's how the fans see it. That's how the media sees it. And I know you're a competitor. You're a player. So I'm sure you love to win. Kind of expand on that of just your winning mentality, your winning attitude that you bring to this franchise.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that anything that we do is going to be tied to our basketball excellence. That is the core of the business that we're in. And so there's no doubt that is our baseline that we're moving from. And yes, I'm a competitor. It's going to be really fun to see that come out as a GM now and alongside as Sid, obviously with the history of knowing what that looks like as a player. But to compete is, you know, to compete is connected to the winning, right? I think the wins are an outcome of a willingness to compete in all kinds of different circumstances and all kinds of different, you know, you can't control everything, right? So I think what we want to do first and foremost is to make sure that our culture reflects that core willingness to compete as a no matter what. And the wins are going to be a byproduct of that.
Jamila Wideman, again, appreciate your time. Welcome again to Washington.
Thanks so much.
All right, much more to come right here on Toyota Sports Talk. Stay with us.